everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Atlantic CIL podcast. I'm here with the director of the South Jersey Center for Independent Living, Theresa. Theresa, how do you say your last name? I want to make sure I say it right.
It's Rohlfing.
Theresa Rohlfing, one of my favorite directors. Not that I rank them, but if I did rank them, she'd definitely be at the top. And she has, she's got a great spirit, and you've been in independent living for a long time. It seems like you really worked your way up the ranks.
13th year of being here at the center.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So when was the first time you heard about Centers for Independent Living? Do you remember?
Well, I was a teacher at Woodbury, a special needs teacher. And in the summertime, we did this youth program where we would set up a farm stand and have the kids with special needs make the prices. We got all the produce locally, and they would make the prices, decide how much it would be, do customer relations, do the register, and it just taught them skills. And the transition specialist from the Center for Independent Living happened to stop at our produce stand, and I hooked my children there up with her so she could hook them up with their next steps of transitioning. And then she was only working till the end of September. So she's like, why don't you go down there and apply for the job? Because I'm leaving. And I did. I ended up getting the job, and I really liked this a lot more than teaching because I could go further, do them further steps. When you're teaching a child in like 6th or 7th grade, you get them for a year and then that's it. You don't even know what happens to them. And then I find out that a lot of them were falling through the cracks and nothing, I see them again at 24 years old, sitting home on their couch. So I thought, this is for me. Let me try to help the students that have nothing to do when they leave high school. And that's where it started. And then it just evolved into going to the schools, teaching the kids, helping them to make connections for college or day programs or whatever it was. And I did that for 8 years. And then I've been the director now for 4. So it's just a rewarding experience when you find that perfect fit for that student that you thought would be a couch.
I think you did a great job explaining the appeal of independent living, like
yes,
how you get to work with the person instead of just like, giving them homework or like instead of being a top-down thing, it's more about like, what do you want to do and let me support you in
right, because you get to follow them all through their life. I mean, like when people ask us where our services start, I always say birth to earth.
Yes.
We'd like to start with them as soon as possible.
Right. And I always say too, like they're in the driver's seat. And that's something that I think is different about independent living compared to
you're correct.
Like we're not going to harass you. Like if you don't want our services, like it's up to you. Like you have to be initiating the work. You have to have a part in it. You have to skin the game.
Thing. I never even heard of DVRS. I've never heard of Centers for Independent Living until I got here. I do know they like to say it's like the best kept secret because people just don't know it's out there, and you can't utilize services that you don't know exist.
Right.
So just the awareness part was a huge, huge step.
Yeah, and that's something we could talk about. What do you think? Because I feel that way too. A lot of people say, well, I didn't know Centers for Independent Living exists. What do you think that is? Why do you think people don't know about it?
I think it's more about trying to get in touch with like child study teams from all the schools. Because, when these schools leave, they graduate, we should be in contact with every single one of them that had an IEP.
Right.
Whether if they're set up with their life and they know they're going to college and they don't need us, that's fine. But at least we could touch base and let them know that we're here 2 years from now if something happens to you.
Right. And also, like, they could need us in college. Like, who talked to them about, because navigating college with a disability is different than high school. You have to. As I always tell people, and now we're just going off and talking about things but I think people are interested in. College doesn't go up to you and say, do you have a disability like they do in school? They're not mandated to do that. You have to be the one to go to your college and say, I have a disability and need an accommodation. I'm sure you found that too. People are like, well, I've been struggling and nobody's said anything. Well, they don't have to in college.
You don't have to disclose your disability, but then you won't get those special accommodations if you don't. And I will say that each college, their special needs office is a little different. Some of them are more proactive than others.
Right.
I like to make sure they pick that college where I know that their special needs office is going to be there to help them.
Right. Some don't even like the term disability in the title of their office. Sometimes it's like
Exactly.
and people are like, this is the disability office. Yeah, I always think too, Teresa, we're not helped by, I love Centers for Independent Living, but the name is confusing. The name
It
makes people
is.
think people live here.
They do. And you know what? Where we're located, we actually have apartments up top. They don't belong to us, but they swear they do. And
Yeah.
they'll walk right in the door and be like, I want to live there. And they're actually, for the 1 bedroom, they're pretty expensive. So I'm like, I don't know
Right.
about that.
Right.
Housing, you know, as well as I do, is one of the biggest issues we deal
Yes.
with. And actually, right now, it's even worse because of the COVID with
Right.
everybody.
And inflation rising.
Now we
So,
need some more of these project freedoms.
right.
I mean, they're awesome, but there's just not enough of them.
Right. And also, and we, this is a good thing to talk about. Housing's a good subject too. Like people need to support affordable housing being developed in their neighborhood. And like, because everybody's like, oh, I want affordable housing. But then when it's like their neighborhood, they're like, well, we want it over there, not my neighborhood. Put
And
it
there
over
actually
there.
is supposed to be a certain percentage of every town that has low income housing.
Right.
But does low income mean the median of that town? Because some
Right.
towns, of course, it's going to be more expensive than others.
Right, exactly. And that's
Um,
that's a way to keep people out too.
Now, I did heard like by the Rowan College of South Jersey, they're actually going to be building more or less what they call, it's kind of like a dorm thing, but it's just going to be for kids with special needs.
Oh, that's
So I
awesome.
think that's going to be great. The only problem is before they even break ground, they're full.
Right,
There's a
exactly.
waiting list already, and they didn't
Well,
even
and
start building it.
I'm sure you and I believe the same thing. Like I tell people all the time, like get on as soon as a place opens, get on their waiting list now. Do not wait. Do not wait because the demand is so
Not
high.
just that, but you'll have one person that'll get on 20 waiting lists. Now, obviously, they can only go to one place, so
Right.
that's one spot that's going to open up. So get on them
Right,
all.
right. Get on them all. I
Get
would
on
say
them all.
and I would say get on them while you have housing. Like don't, I'm sure you get the calls too. People call us in the crisis. And even if we get you on all the wait list, you're not gonna get housing until three
2, 3
years.
years. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I always
Even
tell
the
people
DCA programs, they have programs right now that are helping people with back rent. So everybody, it's a lottery. Everybody's signing up. We have our housing specialists helping people sign up. At the bottom, it says don't expect any payment for 2 to 3 years. So
right,
my thing is, how does that help you now with your back rent?
right. But I tell people, it's good to apply to these things when you're not in a crisis. Get on the wait list now. If they call you 3 years from now and you're all good, just say I'm all good and they move on. Like, it's not,
That's the point. Yep. If you find a place in the meantime, you can always say no, but at least this way, if they call and you're still looking for a place, you're in.
We always say at my office, it's not a marriage proposal. It's not a lifetime commitment.
Exactly.
You're just getting on a wait list.
It's like dating. You want 5 or 6. Yeah, you want see which one you like.
Yeah, you want a lot.
No, I agree. But housing has always been an issue. It's going to continue to be an issue, but we're doing the best we can. There are some CARES funding still left in certain counties that can help with the electric and the back rent, which I will say that was nice that they did have some funding out for them, because a lot of our clients used it, and thank God they're still in their houses because of it.
Housing is probably, I think, the toughest.
Housing and transitioning is the 2 biggest things that
Yes. So how did you become director? So how did that happen? So you're teaching, you become the transition specialist, and then you're in the IL world. How'd you become the director?
8 years, and that was the only issue I had with being the director, was missing I knew I was going to miss going to the schools and being with the students. It's funny, we have a youth group, and sometimes I hang out just for it because I can at least get involved with the kids again. And the youth group is so much fun. It's like my favorite day. A lot of times we do it in here, but like they'll go out to bowling, urban air. They're going to miniature golf this month. And it's just fun watching them have fun. But I did it for 8 years, and then I started going to the directors' meetings and things as my director knew she was going to retire. So she was more or less training me for the position. Still had to put in for it. Obviously, I still had to put my resume in, and a couple other people did. But I think the board also already knew what I could do. So it was more like, let's give her a shot. So they actually made me the interim for a year so I could show them, if I can do
Yeah.
it, great, then I can be hired. And I did that for a year. The board liked my work. Matter of fact, I got a lot of new programs in here that we didn't have before. So then they actually hired me for as active after that. So it's been
Yeah,
4 years.
I think they made the right choice.
Thank you.
approve.
Thank you.
I
And
approve.
we have a lot more programs going on in here. Like we have our food pantry now. During COVID, we opened that up because of all the food insecurities. And
Right.
actually, right now, because of this inflation, people are still calling for food.
Right. Yeah.
We do a lot. The support programs, we've built them up big time. Like we have one one where I would say like 20 of them come every other Wednesday.
Cool. Talk about that. So what's that support program? What do you guys do?
It started as a women's support group because we had our own men's support group, and they wanted to be together. So we just pushed it into one group, and the men and women all come. We do from 11 to 1. We usually have a guest speaker according to what they need. A lot of them will ask questions about Medicare. So I'll have somebody from Medicare come in to answer them directly. This month, I have New Jersey SNAP Ed coming in. They're going to teach us how to make some healthy snacks and actually let them try it. And they'll come in to do 6 classes. They were actually free for us. The food pantry in Pennsauken is going to pay for them to come in and do these lessons. And we like to play games. So this month we're doing Christmas in July. So we have a little poke a tree game where little tissue papered cups made out of a tree, and they poke and get prizes. A lot of them are just wine basket tickets, which they love. Another thing, every month we do a wine basket because the support group likes to buy tickets. Whoever wins gets the wine, and then that money pays for their lunch.
That's awesome.
So it's just the little things that you do to help pay for the little things we do for them. They love it. And then the youth group is separate because the youth group we do have some youth comes to that group as well, but the youth kind of like to just do their own thing. So we have 2 separate groups for that.
Now, do you do them virtually, or is it now all back in person?
Oh, it's all in person. We've been all in person since last summer. We started out with an outside ice cream social, and then we started to slowly bring it in as everybody here has been vaccinated. So, we knew that was okay. And we've had our issues where somebody might have gotten COVID, and then we have home tests that we actually help people to get and make sure that they don't have it. But we did have one or two scares where somebody had it and called and said, I was with you guys last week and I'm tested positive. But nobody here has gotten it yet. So we're good. We're good there. Thank goodness. Pray for that.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Good job. What have been the biggest challenges about becoming a director? What have been like?
Like I said, I do miss the kids, but I will say it's the paperwork, reporting, yes. That would be my challenge, only because you do so much and you have to condense it into a couple paragraphs and state everything you've done. Right. And then you're always afraid you're going to forget something that you did because you want everything to be accounted for. Right. So, I think that's the hardest thing.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're a director, you have to constantly worry about that, making sure you dot the I's, cross the T's, all the stuff.
And everything's done by the book and, that kind of thing. Because even like I was, even the proposals that we've been putting out lately, there's certain websites you can actually send them to, and then they'll make sure you did everything by the book. So just learning to navigate that thing. The computer, this Zoom thing is all new for me. So I feel like my seniors, when they come in, we'll learn together. Yes. Technology is tough for my seniors. Everything is online now. Some of them don't have their phones. They're still using these flip phones from cellular. So how are they supposed to go online to, get on like these waiting lists or to fill out their forms? Medicaid, turn me down. To come in, we'll appeal. You probably do the same thing. You have people come in here constantly needing to use the computers because everything's online.
Well, and a lot of people don't necessarily, like you said, a lot of these programs assume that people, even if they do have a computer, have the skills to navigate it.
Exactly.
They can fill it out and they understand it. And
I'm not the best at it, but thank God I have employees here that, are young and grew up with it and know what to do.
Yes. And that's what Centers for Independent Living really do, I think, is help fill in the gaps for people, like that, navigate
That's
those
the
things,
thing.
fill
Yeah,
out
you
those
navigate,
applications.
you advocate, and then you help fill out their forms for them
Right,
directly because they
right,
can't do it. We've actually been doing toiletry drives here for personal care items. Because even if you have food stamps, that doesn't mean you can get laundry soap. And when people feel cleaner and prettier and they feel
right,
better about themselves,
right.
and then they
I
don't, you lose some of that depression, anxiety, and a lot of things that we've been dealing with people being stuck home.
Yes, and just
It does help.
living
It
through
does
these
help.
tough
I'm actually
times.
thinking about one of the next groups that we do to do like a prom so that our seniors can dress up and come in
Oh,
and then
that's
get the
cool.
youth group to come in and ask them to dance or, just something, just so they can dress up to go somewhere. They have nowhere to go during COVID.
Right, right. That's a good idea. Look at you, Teresa, just
We
make,
just,
making
with
things
this.
happen.
And we're
Making
doing a
things.
back to school drive at the end of August. We have a lot of places donating things to us. And then the rest we'll just purchase with our unrestricted, but we'll make sure that every kid has a book bag and it's full of school supplies.
That's awesome. So, do you know how long has the CILSJ been around? Do you know?
Oh, what is it? We're on our 37th year, I think it is, or 35th year, something like that. Because, the director before me was director for 27 years, and I've been here for 4. So it's got to be 32, 34 years, somewhere there.
Wow. I
Back
just
in the
think,
80s.
yeah,
Now they've
people don't.
moved around 3 or 4 times, but we've always stayed in the same area. We are actually in the area with all the other disability agencies so that we can work together. We have the Ability Solutions that has the sheltered workshop 2 doors down, St. John of God across the street, which is an all adult day. And then we have the ARC and us and Catholic Charities all in a row. So we work with each other so that
Oh,
when
that's
somebody
nice.
comes to us, we can do what we can do and then send them to the other agencies for the programs that they have.
Oh, that's nice. So you're all like right next to each other.
We call it Disability Row
Yeah.
because we're all right here. But it's perfect because when you have a client that needs something else, like if I have a client that needs to see if they need to work in a sheltered workshop, I can just refer them down the street for a 28-day trial.
Right,
Boom,
right.
they're in.
Oh,
If they need a site to do something, they come to us and we work really well together.
that's awesome. I think that's great. It puts everything. It's like a one-stop shop for your
It
disability.
is, and it helps because we can do the employment part, we can do some of the other parts, and then like Catholic Charities actually helps them get furniture and helps them, and it's just between us all, we can meet all the goals that one person might have.
Yeah, that's great. And how do you think CILs are different than these other great agencies? Do you think that?
Well, the thing is that we're more personal and do one-on-ones. I think we have more programs as well. Like if I send them to Ability Solution, it's only for that one program.
Right.
Now, what are they going to do after that? And we help people with, to manage their disability as well. If you have anxiety, you're not going to want to go to that sheltered workshop. So, you have to work with people to overcome things to get them to get to their goals. And we do a lot of advocating, whereas a lot of the other ones don't do the advocating for them.
Yes, I agree. And a lot of it, like you said, kind of that the more human touch of like your day-to-day practical problems.
Plus, we
like,
stay with them. They may
yes,
do a goal and then they're done with them, whereas they'll come back, we'll do another
right,
goal, do another goal.
right.
And we just make sure that we stay with people until, they
Until they
come
get
back.
tired of
They're
us.
always going to need us. I was about to say until they don't need us, but they always are going to need us.
Right.
It might be a year down the road, something else happens and they need us again.
Right. That's what I say. Like sometimes people come, you don't hear from people for a while and then they resurface and they show,
They
hey,
do.
I'm back.
And then even
wait a
the
minute.
emergency preparedness things that we're going to be doing, hopefully these classes, that's going to help people, especially people that are anxious about like, what if this happens? What if that happens?
Yeah, so talk about that. Talk about what you're planning.
So we're still waiting for that grant. As you know, we were approved. We're just waiting for it to get financially. And I actually have a girl that already works here that's going to be doing them. And we're going to do, I think we were doing 10 classes for 10, 12 people twice a year. And we're going to do emergency preparedness. We already purchased some go bags for the people to take home with them. That's a 3-day bag. It has enough water in it and flashlights, batteries, all that for them to surface for 3 days. We're getting home COVID tests for them to also take home. And we're going to explain not just COVID and what, to be prepared for something like that, but we're also going to explain every single emergency. It could be tornado, hurricane. We had Sandy that kind of taught us that people got stuck in their houses that were supposed to evacuate without electricity, and they had these life-threatening, disabilities that they needed electric for.
Yes.
And some of them actually ended up dying in their house because,
Right.
nobody knew they were there. So now we're doing Register Ready, which will help because if they register, people will know they're there. We're still trying to figure out how that's going to happen, though. Like, how are you going to go get all these people in a flood? But at least they're registered and we'll know they're there. Just little things that happen. We had a tornado go through last year, our town, which was amazing because we've never had tornadoes like that before. It was a F3 and these people just had no water, had no electricity. They had to live in trailers until the insurance came. So you understand all these things, and people don't realize that it can happen here. It's not just happening on the news. It can happen here.
Right. No, and something will happen eventually. Like something, you're not going to be like, it may not be a tornado or a tsunami or anything, but like some type of crisis will happen.
You have people that can't get out. I mean, even if it snowed and they're snowed in for 3 days, they're going to need food. They're going to need water. Right. They're going to need things.
And I think what we as CILS really emphasize is, yes, there are things the government's supposed to do during a disaster, but you can't rely on that. Like you as a disability. Like you can't.
I mean, FEMA did come out and assess, but that doesn't mean that they were going to help every single county that that tornado went through, and that's where we came in. We actually took them down some go bags. We helped out as much as we could. It wasn't just us; it was all of. I'm part of the DAC, which is the Disability Advisory Council, and everybody in DAC went down and helped out. And that's another thing. So DAC is awesome. Like this July 28th, we're actually doing a special needs job fair. The job fair is only for people with special needs. All the employers are on board with accommodations, and it's a little easier for them to go in. And we have a major one that we do where 800 people show up. People with anxiety is not going to come to that. This they will. And we help navigate them. We help them with their resume. We will have about 300 people with special needs show up for this. And it's
that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Best. It's the best.
Is it your first? Is it your first
this is our third that we've been doing. We did last year. We had to do it outside, so we didn't have as many people because of the COVID. We get the college to let us use their gym, and we do it right at the college, so it's really easy.
Oh, that's a great idea. I might steal that idea from my.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, you know what? And you have Stockton's right down the road from you. And they're on board to do a lot of things. Stockton's a great college.
They are a good college.
So, yeah, I would talk to their special needs office, see if you can set it up.
Yeah, and like you said, if I could get our
your DAC, you're on DAC, right?
Our Disability Workforce Advisory Board on board, and
and you know who else can help out? The WIB, the Workforce Development Board. They actually helped us as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's just they want jobs, but they're afraid to go out and get them. It's an anxiety thing. So and if you can help them a little bit with the anxiety, they'll go out, they'll get that job, and then we'll go through DVRS and get them a job coach if they need that support for a few hours. So it's it's making connections.
Yeah, and this brings me to a good question for you because you did a lot of work getting people. What would be your advice you're a young person with a disability, you just graduated, you want a job. What would be what would you tell them to do if they came to you, Theresa?
Well, the first thing is to ask for support. A lot of people are afraid to ask for support, afraid to, like you said, disclose your disability. Just everybody has a disability. If you think about it, we all have things that we can or can't do. And we all need help at one time or another. So if just to come out and get that support that you need, because we can help you to build that resume, get a job, walk you through it. We do banking and budgeting with these guys for, if you're having issues, come in. My biggest thing is just reaching out. That's the first and major step. Reach out. We'll do an ILP with individual living plan. I may have them give me 2 short-term goals and 2 long-term goals, and then we can try to help you to achieve them. Goals must be realistic. Like, don't come in and tell me you want to drive an airplane when you know that you have color blindness.
You want to be a rapper? You want to be a rapper? You want to be
you know what? My biggest one is all the kids I want to play video games and get paid for it. Well, don't we all?
Right. I always say, my thing I tell people is, all right, if that's your long-term goal, it's a good long-term goal. But while you're working on becoming a professional video game player, you need an actual job and an actual
right. There you go.
In case this doesn't work out. So
that's another thing. All the kids, that's a good point. Plan A, B, and C, because just in case you need the backups.
You need a skill. You need something.
My biggest thing is making sure they're realistic goals.
Yeah,
I want to be the president of the United States too, but I know I can't. So
right. And maybe it'll work out, but I'm saying let's have a backup plan. Maybe you'll run and maybe it'll
it's not a bad, you're right. It's not a bad thing to shoot for the stars, but make sure you have some plans on the way there.
Yeah, shoot for the stars, but we don't want you to run off the cliff. We want you to we want you to have a backup plan. But yeah,
I want to be a professional football player and make that money too, but I don't think I'll ever be there.
Well, if that doesn't work out, what's your plan? Like, if
that's exactly right. And it's okay to have 3 or 4 plans in case something doesn't work out. I never saw myself sitting here. I changed my major in college 3 times.
Right. Yeah, I think I've noticed that in all my directors' interviews, everybody's like, I have no idea how I got here. I just kind of wandered in, and one thing led to another.
And it was funny because the lady that came to the stand to get me, I used to substitute for her like 13 years ago. So that's how we met. But if it wasn't for her walking up, I would have never known the Centers for Independent Living existed. So we really do need to get some more awareness out there that we're here.
And that's a good thing to talk about too, because we're talking about helping what do you do to find a job? I tell people too, like, you just gotta get involved and do stuff. Like
in the community.
Yes, like volunteer, call your Center for Independent Living. Like they'll find something for you to do. Nobody knocks on your door and goes, I hear you're looking for a job. You get jobs by meeting people and getting out there and connecting with people. So
right.
I'm
even trying to get the community to start to get in touch with people. Like, they used to send out newspapers and flyers in the mail telling you what was going on in the community. Now they just put it up online. And like we were saying, a lot of these people do not have access to that or don't go to Facebook. And then I hear later that they read in the newspaper that there was an event that they didn't know about. So we're trying to figure out how to get these events out there.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think I love technology. I love social media, but I think you're right. It's important we don't leave people behind that's not their world. It's not their world.
Like, I stole my bookkeeper's clipboard. My bad.
Right.
Yeah, it's awareness. It really is awareness. We've talked about that before, like how we can actually get things out. I mean, we have sent out mails and most of it ends up coming back. So it's getting tough.
And that's the thing too. You notice that too when you do stuff like that too. It doesn't have the bang for the buck that you're hoping sometimes. And so you're like, okay, so I'll just switch to electronic, because that's how most people are getting.
Even then, they'll put up something that is going on maybe tomorrow or the next day. And, if people use Access Link, they need at least, a week to make their reservations. And, that can be tricky as well. And even Access Link, people don't know that that's out there for them to take to different places.
And that's why I hope since COVID happened, people will get more used to at least offering a virtual component to things.
And in about 20 years, when that generation goes, everybody will be using the web. Everybody will be using the internet. But right now, you still have those, seniors and people like me that don't know it as well. It's a generation.
Theresa, I thought you were 27, 28. That was my estimation of your age. I thought I thought we were around the same age, you and I.
Yeah, so, I wish. I think I graduated high school before you were born.
Of course, I'm like, I'm like
I'll be
13.
pushing 60 soon here over here.
Yes, and I'm like 13 and a half. So
There you go.
When I first started coming to the directors meetings, they were like, "How old are you?" Like, can
I
I
didn't think you were the youngest director though, right?
Yes, I was. Yes,
Awesome.
I was.
Awesome. You're doing a great job down there. Great job.
We are. We're doing our thing. You are too. And I think that, like you said, we have a real good group
We
of
have a
people
great
doing
group of directors. We do. And I think everybody, because we're all caring people and we just care about our counties and our community. And we all work very well together. And I just, like I said, we just need to get some more awareness out so we can make sure that we're helping everybody
right.
that we possibly can. They're
And I would encourage
underserved, overpopulated. That's what comes to mind.
right. And I would encourage everybody, you know, reach out to your local CIL if you're listening to this and see if you can get involved. If you're looking for something to do, there's plenty of stuff to do that centers offer, and you don't know where that opportunity is going to lead. Like Theresa didn't know that she would end up here just by standing at
I still thought I'd be in the classroom.
fair.
Yeah, which, don't get me wrong, I love to teach, but I just like now, like you were saying, I get to see what happens to somebody through their whole life instead of just that one period of time, and then new faces come in.
How long
I
did you teach?
love my job.
How long did you
I
teach?
taught for 2 years at Paulsboro and then 10 years at Woodbury.
Wow.
And then, yeah, see, I'm showing my age now because then I've been here for 13. So, and it was a slow start. I went back to school quite a little bit. I graduated with my teaching degree not until 2000. So it was one of them, go back to school. My mom was telling me I was a professional student at that time because I love to go to school.
Right.
But and then it gets a little expensive, so you got to do something.
Yes.
But I actually went to school for accounting, and I just couldn't see myself sitting at a desk all day, not talking. We like to talk. So
yeah, that's the thing about directors, like that we're people who need to like talk,
But that's why I picked teacher. I said, they're going to pay me to stand in front of kids and talk. All right.
And then you became a director and you're like, oh, they're going to do it again.
More.
You're going to do it again. They're going to do it again.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with, because I get a lot of questions sometimes when people with disabilities start working, they're very concerned about their benefits and their Social Security and how everything gets dealt with. How do you navigate that? What would be your tips towards navigating?
Well, the thing is, you can make so much a month or so much a year, depending upon whether you're on SSI or SSDI. And the problem is, yes, they have to keep track of that, because if you get overpaid, it ends up coming out of your check.
Yes.
So we do help them with that to make sure that they don't go over their amount. I have several people working for me that are on SSDI, so we make sure that they keep their hours according to what they're allowed to make that year and still get that check. I always tell them though, because I have some that'll say, I'll just keep working and forget the check. You don't want to do that, because what happens when that job ends or something happens and you need that check is for life and you want to keep that.
Right.
But you do have to worry about your hours and make sure you don't go over.
Right.
But we'll help them with that.
Yeah, and I agree. My first thing is you got to know if you're on SSI or SSDI.
SSDI. How much can you make? Is it annually? Is it monthly? Because in monthly, sometimes when you get 3 pays in 1 month, that can mess you up.
Right.
So I'll shorten their hours that month.
So you really have to understand your benefits, because you can't, like with Social Security, when they find out you're working over, they don't care that you didn't understand. They're like, well.
Oh, no. I've had people come in here and owe thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Because Social Security will also take their time to get to you to let you know. And by then you've worked 3-4 months over.
Yes. And that's the other thing I tell people, like, and I learned this too, like I thought Social Security knew before I got this job when I first started working and I was still on it. I thought they knew, and I did tell them. I called and I told them, but it didn't update in their system yet.
Exactly.
So I was working thinking it was fine, and it all got worked out, life.
But I will have kids that'll come in here and the parents are like, it's the manager's fault. He shouldn't have had them work so many hours. But it's not the manager's job to keep your hours. It's yours.
Right.
So my thing is, if you can't do it yourself, then you reach out to somebody like the Center for Independent Living to help you do that. Or, you get that support system they can help, because.
And I would be clear with your employer too. Like when you were talking, is people don't want to disclose it. Like if once they hire you, I would say, look, I can't make more than this, so they know. So because like you said, they have you, and if the manager changes, you have to make sure that manager knows. Like you can't assume, oh, the other manager knew. So.
You have to check part-time too. Like some people are not doing that. And then when they get hired, it's for a full-time job.
Yeah.
And they can't do it. So, I even tell them that if you don't understand the application, come in here. Our transition specialist she has gotten about 5 of our youth jobs this month because she fills out the applications for them. There's a lot of jobs out there right now. People are hiring left and right.
This is a good. The labor market is hot. Like if you want a job,
like
you can get one.
You know how hard it was to get somebody a job a couple of years ago. Like she has gotten 5 of them in 1 month. That's how and the thing is that and it's a fit for that person. That's the problem too. When somebody comes in, you make sure you got to get that perfect fit for them, or they're just going to quit. So
and that's something CILSJ are good at, because we have the time, and
we do career interest surveys. We do all these different mnemonics that will help them with learning about what their likes, their dislikes. Dislikes are just as important. If you don't like kids, you can't be in a daycare.
You don't like people,
Which a lot of people with anxiety have issues with working with people. But that's when we try to get them warehouse jobs.
Right.
I do have a few warehouses that'll actually let them wear headphones so that they can block everything out and just do their job.
Right. Yeah. So that's why, and that's something CILSJ do all the time, is do that kind of.
You need that accommodation, and sometimes they just don't have. They can't say it to them. Like they can't walk in and say, "I need this."
Right.
I don't know if they're scared, or like you said, they don't want to disclose their disability, but that's something that we can help too.
Yeah. And like you said, the sooner you do that, reach out for that support, you can get that help. Because we know all this stuff. We know how to ask for an accommodation.
That's why I like the job shadowing, because we get to go, in and see if you like that for the day or for the week, or however you have it set up for that person. And then they can tell whether they like it or not. I'm kind of excited about purchasing this virtual shadowing.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So for those of you that don't know, we're Centers for Independent Living are going to get a virtual job shadowing program, and it's going to be really cool. You can try out different jobs virtually, right? That's the idea.
Yeah. So you put it on like I don't know if you've ever done the virtual reality. You feel like you're in there, because the first time I did it, I was at the Franklin Institute or something. And I was actually talking out loud. I thought I was inside there, not realizing other people are in the same room with you. But I actually thought I was in a boat. I thought I was trying, like, you really think you're there. So they're going to go into these jobs, and in your mind, you're really there, and you get to check them out without actually having to leave. With people with anxiety, this is going to be great.
Right.
Because they're going to be able to see if they can do it without actually having to go to 15 places and, do it by getting there, traveling. I'm excited. Awesome. I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah.
And, I'm a little excited about the driving thing that we're talking about purchasing,
Yeah. That thing looks cool too. I don't know how that's.
We do. Our driving classes here really are about passing the test.
Right.
After that, the only thing I can do is give you the name of somebody that can do 6 hours.
Right.
Now we'll be able to do, they'll be able to actually sit there and practice driving before they get in the car, which will make them a little more calm, a little less.
Yeah, yes, that's true. If we get this program, that would be a cool component.
I think so. Like you said, everything's going virtual, everything's going computers. So why not, start purchasing things and taking advantage of it?
Yep, I agree. There's so much.
I'm just afraid my employees are going to be playing with the virtual job shadowing. So I'm going to come in and have them all in there. Like,
yes. Like, guys, you
learning other jobs, and then they're going to want to leave me.
You guys don't be trying out jobs too much when you're supposed to be doing the job.
You like that job better. Now you want to quit, right?
Yes. Supposed to be doing the job I paid you for.
I'm excited though. I think the kids are going to love that.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and I think centers are doing a lot of great stuff.
We
So
are.
as
We're going to
wrapping-
draw more people in with this stuff too.
Yeah, yes. And I would also always encourage people to reach out. So as we're wrapping up, do you have anything you want to share? You want to talk about your social media? Where should people interested in the CILSJ Jersey, and what areas do you serve? Because I think
we did forget that. Okay, so I'm Camden and Gloucester County, but I do not do Camden City because they have their own center. Which is another wonderful center run by Vita Smithshin. She's awesome. She's on top of it. She has a lot of
amazing.
And her community needs different things than ours does. So that's why I think it's great that we have them in each county, because as you know, CILs are unique. So we each do things pertinent to our each county. And we do have a website. I actually hired somebody with our funding to vamp up our website.
Website's looking great.
It's CIL-SJ.com. And then we also have a Facebook page. We just added a testimonial thing on there. And I will say, last night I was reading because we just added it and already 4 people put in. I was reading them last night. I was actually in tears crying while I was reading these testimonials. You don't realize how much you touch somebody and how much you've helped somebody until you read it that way.
I agree. I agree with you, Theresa. We added an our story section, which is our testimonial section on our website this year. And anytime I'm feeling like just down or maybe stressed about something, I click it and I'm like, okay, this is why we do what we do. Yeah, this is why we're doing this. So stop whining and do that report. Or it's like,
exactly.
This is why we do what we do. So I agree. And it's a great section to look at if you're interested in our services too, because these are real people telling you real stories about how we help them.
The events are up there. So like we were talking before about them not knowing about an event, we try to make sure that they know a month ahead of time so they can get access link and come to these events.
Right.
Like we're doing a free water ice day, just so that people will come in and see and meet and network. And we're going to have other agencies with tables outside so that they can network with all of us at once and get a free water ice.
That's awesome.
So all that is on the website, and anybody is welcome to come. I don't even care if you're not from our county. If you just want to come and check out some of the networking that we do in this county, that's great.
County IDs at the door. She's not.
There you go. That's like our food. When people come up for our food, I just ask them to sign their name and things that we can put them in our system. But other than that, I don't care what county you're from. If you are hungry, you come and get food.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that's something great that your center offers. I know, we're a new center, and I do want to look at what a food pantry would look at for us. So, and then
we started that during CARES because of the fact that, first of all, it allowed us to open our doors, because if you were food, you could open your doors. I know some of you were closed for a long time. We were only closed for 2 months, and we reopened that May, and we had food. But we realized the need for it when you saw the line of cars going down the street. It's slowed down. It's not as bad now, but the people across the street from us are an actual food bank. So they donate a lot of food to us that they have extra. So that's why I said it's really good to be in cahoots, because we get donations left and right.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Well, I would encourage everybody to check out Theresa's website, the CILSJ Jersey. They're an outstanding center for independent living. And thank you so much for doing this, Theresa.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
You're still one of my favorite directors. You didn't blow it. You didn't blow it in the podcast. So
thank you very much.
You're a great podcast guest. You should, do classes on that too.
Thank you. You guys, we're all working together, doing the best we can to get as most people as help as we can. Please go to the website. Email us. It's CIL-SJ@Outlook. So it's all about the same. CIL-J.com or CILSJ.Outlook. And if you email us, you need anything, if we can't provide a service, we can tell you who does. So
all right,
get these people in here, Donald.
Yes, reach out and get the services.
The more the help we can help, the better we're gonna feel, right?
Yes, exactly. All right, thanks,
Keep up the
Theresa.
good work down there.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for having me.